gosh, you guys, look at this headline. Look at this headline. Oh my gosh. Oh boy, do we have something to talk about today. This is going to be the last thing we're going to look at. All right, I have some other things to look at. When I saw this yesterday, I was actually at my third showing of John Wick Chapter 4, and I saw this, and I just about lost it. When I talked to my lawyers about going after Warner Brothers, obviously the U.S. government sees some crap that went down too. So we're going to talk about all of that, but let's look at some pictures first. All right, so the first picture I have here is a story about James Gunn confirming that the rebooted DC universe will not redo storylines that were previously adapted in the DCU. What exactly does this mean? Well, it probably means we will never see Darkseid again in the DCU, at least not Gunn's DCU. It sounds to me more like this is going to be a complete reboot, and there's actually something that was discussed just over the last day that I think is going to confirm that this is going to be a complete and utter reboot, and probably not a mishmash like it might have been previously reported. And they're going to want to keep these things separate. Instead, we get to look forward to them fighting dinosaurs and ancient evil instead of the big bad guys that comic book fans would prefer to see. But we're going to look at some interesting things today. But this was the first little tidbit that came across my plate. Now, here's the first time I heard about this DOJ, the U.S. government going after Warner Brothers Discovery. And I have to thank Nathanator for this. Nathanator777 on Twitter. He asked me, what is going on? I think it's pretty funny. Like I said, we're going to be discussing that more here in a few minutes. All right, so this goes back to what I just mentioned a few minutes ago about this possibly being a total reboot. We may never see Peacemaker Season 2 because this is from James Gunn himself, and he said Peacemaker Season 2 will only release after July 2025, which is when Superman Legacy releases. Everything about Gunn is riding on Superman Legacy, okay? If it doesn't do well, we are never going to see Peacemaker Season 2. James Gunn is supposed to be the CEO of a company, but he's writing, he's directing, he's doing all kinds of stuff that isn't what he was hired for. It's kind of interesting. He has definitely stretched himself too thin, and he's too busy on Twitter, being toxic towards fans who some are being toxic towards him, and I'm going to talk about this whole Twitter thing here in a few minutes as well. It's just crazy, the stuff that's going on. But this statement doesn't say, it says it will only release. It doesn't say it's definitively coming or when he's going to start filming. So I think kind of everything's on hold till they see what happens with Superman Legacy. They're not going to spend money on a project that may never see the light of day. And this may be a front for them letting us know that it's going to be a total reboot, and Peacemaker may not even be a part of the DCU going forward. Like they may be redoing just everything. Now, this is a little tidbit that I saw that was interesting. A lot of people say that Man of Steel didn't make a whole lot of profit, somewhere around $43 million. And there is a website out there that kind of covered this. But what they don't tell you is that because of deals with sponsors and merchandising, that Man of Steel pretty much made its money back before the movie ever got released. And that's just a fact. And it's pretty crazy. You can even see there's an article there that was listed years ago about, because of all the tie-ins and the companies that paid money to help advertise it, that it made its money back before the movie even got released. So to only say that the movie profited $43 million is a flat-out lie to people. Now, here's something I actually am happy with. I do like James Mangold. He does some great films, Logan. He did Ford versus Ferrari, and he's doing the new Indiana Jones. And that trailer yesterday was pretty freaking good. I didn't like the line about capitalism. I thought it was forced in there. But outside of that, it was pretty good. And then we find out that Mangold is going to be writing and directing Swamp Thing, which should be good. And this is apparently a lifelong passion for Mangold. Like, this is his character, and he would love to do this. So, like they said, it's his passion project. And I'm going to be eager to see what he does with this. So this was released by James Gunn yesterday. All right, so let's go through this article here. Now, this was interesting. This was posted yesterday about midday. And I actually wanted to put a video up much earlier today, but I did. I was working for the first 5 hours this morning on my business, and then I did spend 5.5 hours working on vehicles, changing oil and also changing brakes, which turned into a holy living nightmare because of some stupid lug nuts that kind of snapped off the side of our vehicle, which was fun. I had to do some new threads and get some brand new lug nuts. It was an interesting situation. But let's take a look at this article. It says, 4 Democratic lawmakers want the Justice Department to investigate Warner Brothers Discovery, claiming that the merged company has harmed workers and reduced consumer choice. That's an interesting choice of words there. It says, I'm not going to go into the Democrats who were doing this, but they wrote a letter to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and the DOJ antitrust chief, Jonathan Cantor, that the merger appears to have enabled the company to adopt a potentially anti-competitive practices that reduce consumer choice and harm workers in affected labor markets. It's going to be interesting to see what that means, because I'll tell you, they do cite Batgirl in this, and everybody who worked on Batgirl was paid for it. All those people were paid in full. Warner Media and Discovery were combined last year in a transaction that was not challenged by the DOJ after a review. Goes on to say the company has the incentive and ability to eliminate broad swaths of its workforce, leaving workers with fewer choices for employment and advancement. The lawmaker wrote in their letter, you can read it there, they cited the layoffs over the past year, including the shutdowns of CNN Plus, as well as later cuts at CNN and in areas like ad sales. It would be unusual for the Department of Justice to essentially reopen a review of a merger so shortly after it was completed, but the lawmakers appear to have been bolstered by Cantor's comments on the DOJ's concerns over the impact of consolidation on content creators and workers, not just on consumers. Last year, the Justice Department successfully challenged the proposed Penguin Random House merger with Simon & Schuster on the grounds that it would ultimately harm authors. After a federal judge ruled in the government's favor, the companies abandoned that transaction. It's one of the few times where I think government getting involved. I'm not a big fan of government because they tax us to oblivion here in America, but this is one of the times where I think it's good when they are protecting workers like that. Arguing that the merger has led to the hollowing out of an iconic American studio, the lawmakers also cited the cancellation of projects and removal of content from the HBO Max platform. And I think that's true. I mean, a lot of us subscribed to HBO Max because a lot of this content was going to be on there, and then they just got rid of it, which was crazy. They wrote that audiences will never see such projects like The Batgirl, a $90 million film that was canceled while deep into post-production, despite consumer outcry, reportedly to allow Warner Brothers Discovery to claim a tax break. Nobody at Warner Brothers Discovery wanted to comment. The company is not unique in embarking on recent mass layoffs, which is true. There's a lot of crap happening here in America. Disney last month started the process of cutting 7,000 people from its workforce, and amid retrenching in its streaming, other platforms, including Netflix, have been canceling projects and series. It says the cancellation of Batgirl got huge attention last August, leading to some anger in the fan base. Peter Safran, the new co-chairman and CEO of DC Studios, said in February the movie was not releasable. The lawmakers also referred to plans to raise the cost of HBO Max. Currently, the plan for the combined streaming service is to keep an ad-supported plan at $10 and an ad-free plan between $15 and $16 a month. However, Warner Brothers Discovery is offering a premium plan for consumers that will cost $20 a month for viewers who want to view HBO signature shows in as high as quality as possible. And that's pretty messed up, actually. This leaves questions unanswered on whether a lower-priced platform will have reduced quality from like 4K to 1080p from the current product, while consumers are paying the same price and the lack of transparency necessary to fully evaluate the plan and their relative prices. Warner Brothers Discovery is planning to unveil its new strategy for direct-to-consumer streaming next Wednesday, which I am eager to find, to see what they're going to say. Just the behavior of Warner Brothers Discovery got the attention of our government here in America, which is pretty fascinating. But it still goes beyond that. And, there were people who would argue with me about talking to a lawyer and wanting to sue Warner Brothers Discovery because they came in and they said Henry Cavill was back, knowing he was never going to be back, in an attempt to sell tickets to Black Adam, only to get rid of him a month later. when James Gunn came in, and finding out that James Gunn had been hired to write that Superman movie long before that. It's funny that people go after me for claiming he never had a contract and that they have the right to do that. No, they don't. That's called fraud, when you specifically lie to the public in an effort to sell something, and then you don't give them what you said you were selling them. So a 5-minute cameo is not what we all paid for. A lot of us paid for support of the studio so that in the future we would see more Cavill, which they did parade him around. People were complaining, oh, that's because he was doing the Witcher thing and Enola Holmes and other stuff, and it was more than just that. The studio produced that promotional image of Superman. That wasn't done by Henry Cavill or, Dwayne Johnson's studio. That was done by Warner Brothers. They shared his post. They were totally putting him out there as he was back. But the fact was they never had any intentions of bringing him back, and they went in a different direction. And they not only pissed off, those actors and got rid of them, but they also pissed off the fan base. And the Twitter thing is getting crazy out of hand. Try to ignore these comments. It's crazy. People calling me a crybaby or, just a man baby, or I'm, other derogatory things I'm not going to actually say. And they think it hurts me in some way. Do I look like I'm hurt in my videos? Do I look like I'm some, snowflake that can't take stuff? People don't realize I have an actual job. There's other things that I do in my life and other passions that I have, that I talk on behalf of DC stuff because this is stuff that I love. This is my entertainment. This is how I spend my time outside of my business and doing other things, and I enjoy this stuff. But if I'm going to spend my money on it, I want it to be top tier. I don't want to see dick jokes. I don't want to see, talk about screwing fish and other stuff, that James Gunn has done in the past with Peacemaker and some of the other stuff he's released. It shows disrespect for the DC properties, and people say, well, you got to give him a chance. Everything I've seen from this guy, everything from him going after fans the other day and, taunting them, to the stuff he's done with DC properties in the past, there is already a trail of what we can expect from his universe, and especially since he's so heavily involved in the creative side of it, which he really shouldn't be. He's supposed to be the CEO of the company making things happen, not the writer, not the director of so many different projects. That wasn't what he was hired for. It was false pretenses. So, yeah, there's a lot I'm worried about in the future. Now, if Superman Legacy ends up being amazing, I will totally admit it. But there are tall shoes to fill. And I just don't see it happening. I just don't. I want to see a finish of the storylines that were already created. And, these people on Twitter try to put me into a group where that I'm a toxic person, that I'm constantly attacking him unjustly. No, I'm not. There are other people out there calling him much worse things. Like, I'm not even going to mention it here because they'll probably strike my channel. But if you go do your research on James Gunn and these individuals, you're going to probably find out that these people are right. If you were somebody who was looking strictly at the facts and the evidence that's out there, you would probably come to the same conclusions that they have. They're just being more vocal about it. There's a reason why he got fired from Disney. But Disney, they usually champion these people with open arms. And so they brought him back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then DC snagged him up. So no, I don't see a bright future. I don't see a bright future in the man himself, and I don't see a bright future in his projects either. So there's my take on everything that's going on. This was bad for everybody all around. It was bad for the people working at Warner Brothers Discovery, and it was bad for the consumers. And I don't see how people can't see this. It's not a good situation all the way around. All right, as more stuff gets released, I will be doing more updates. We'll see you guys on the next one.